Hello, this is a COQ302 presentation, and I'm Gaurav Yadav, and I'll be presenting on the topic depth first search, or commonly known as the DFS. DFS. It is an algorithm to traverse or search in a graph. We start from the root node and move in the depthward motion. It uses a stack to remember and mark the nodes. The stack helps us to get the next node and backtrack when we encounter a dead end. It works with all types of graphs: directed, undirected, weighted, unweighted. So let's see, here is DFS as a recursion. Here's a basic pseudocode. Uh, we call DFS from vertex A, and the body of the function, uh, we first mark the vertex A as true visited. So, and then we check for all neighbors x of A. Uh, if that neighbor is visited is false, then we run DFS on that neighbor. So we are calling DFS in the function DFS in its body. So it is a recursion. So let's see the basic understanding of this DFS by an example. Here we have a directed graph, a visited array to keep track which nodes are visited, and a stack. Uh, might not be clear, but it is a directed graph. You can see a small arrow. We'll start from the root node, that is A. We have taken the root node as A, and let's begin. So we'll first mark it as visited. As you can see, we are using the red color to uh, keep to mark the visited nodes, and then we push it in the stack. This is a stack. Uh, so we'll see why we use this stack later in the example, why this stack is useful. Let's continue. So now A has been visited, so we'll check for its neighbors, and H is a neighbor of A, and it has not been visited. So we'll call DFS on H. We'll mark it as visited, push it in the stack, and then we continue. Now H has two neighbors, F, E. We can choose either one to run the DFS. So let's take E as a next node for DFS. We mark it as visited, push it in the stack, but now we can't go back and say and call DFS. We have to continue with E. So this is the depthward motion we talked about in the algorithm that we traverse in the depthward motion. So we'll continue with this E node, and will not go like traverse on the F node. So now E node has a neighbor D, so it has only one neighbor, so we don't have two choices. So our next node will be D. So now we push D in the stack, mark it as visited, and continue. So now when we look for the visited neighbors of D, we have two choices again, B and C. So we can choose either one. Here we will take B as our next node. We'll mark it as visited array, and push it in the stack, and then we'll continue. Now again we have two choices, F and G. We can choose any one. Let's continue with the F. We mark it as visited, push it in the stack, and then continue. Now F has only one neighbor, G, and we'll continue. we'll push it in the stack and mark it as visited and then continue. But now here, as you can see, G has only one neighbor, that is B, but it has already been visited. So as the algorithm we saw will and the body of the algorithm, there was a loop called for all neighbors. So that um, as we had been recursing on the loops, so we had called DFS from A, then we called in the body, we called DFS on H, then E, then D, then B, then F, and G. The function call for A had not been completed, uh, and we called DFS on H in the body of A. So as we had continued, and we had continued till G, but now the body of G is over because it has no unvisited neighbors. So the recursion, the call on DFS call on G will be complete, and then we'll come back and we'll see for F. So this works by now, as you can we'll see the use of this stack. We'll pop off G. So we have popped out G, and then we'll now the top of the stack has F, so we will check for F. F has only G, so F also doesn't has any neighbor, so we'll pop it off. Now we have B. B also has only two neighbors, A and F. Both are visited, so we'll pop it off too. Now we have D. So now D has a unvisited vertex C here. So we'll call DFS on C. We'll push it on the top of stack and mark it as visited. So here you saw how this stack helps us remember the path we had taken and backtrack it to D, which had an unvisited neighbor C. So it is how this stacks helps us in backtracking to traverse the graph. We'll continue with C. As C doesn't has any neighbor, we'll pop it off. Then we again go back to D, but now this time all the neighbors of D has been visited, so we'll pop it off too. We'll pop off E and H and A. So this algorithm completes when the stack is empty. So as you can see, there is nothing in this stack, so there's nothing left to traverse. So this is a sign that we have to stop the algorithm, and DFS is complete. Time complexity of this algorithm is order V plus E, uh, where V is the number of vertices in the graph and E is the number of edges in the graph. This time complexity comes from a simple fact that every time every edge it is only visited once. So every at every recursion at every call of DFS on any node, we check for all the edges and check if the vertex at the other end of the edge has been visited or not. So every edge is visited once, so this E comes from there, and V comes from the fact that we have a recursion call for every node in the graph, that is DFS call on every node, so this V comes from there. Time complexity is thus order V plus E. So as we have a basic understanding of how DFS works. So now we'll move on and talk more about the different applications of DFS. Mm, let's continue. So applications. So DFS has various applications, but we'll be just talking about this basic three applications. The first one is finding path between two vertices of a graph. How to find a path between two vertices in a graph when you have a graph and just two vertices. And the second one is uh, detecting cycles in a graph. So a graph may have a cycle or no cycles. Uh, we can use this DFS to check if there is a cycle in a graph. And the third one is a topological ordering. Uh, we'll we'll talk about what is topological ordering in brief, uh, and talk about how we can use DFS to uh, do topological ordering. So finding path. So how does DFS helps us find path? So we'll perform. The basic idea is to perform a DFS from the source vertex, from one of the vertex which you have been given, and we continue till we reach the target vertex, and then we output the contents of the stack. So from the example you have, you know how the stack helps us remember the path we have taken from the source, from the node of the from the node where we had root node where we had started the DFS, and the path we had taken till the vertex on the top of the stack. So when we reach the target vertex, we push it on the top of the stack. So basically we have a path path in the stack. So we just output the contents of the stack and we have a path. Here is an example we saw. Let's say we'll start from A, and we have to find a path from A to C. Uh, on reaching C, we'll have the contents as A, H, E, D, C. So as you can see here, A, H, E, D, C. It is a path, and we have it placed in the stack. So we have to just output it. So our next application is detecting cycles. Cycles can be detected like in a directed on or undirected graph by checking for back edges. What are back edges now? So back edges are nothing, just an edge from the node on the top of the stack to any visited node, any node that has been visited till now in the DFS. So let's apply it on the example we have seen. Uh, here as you can see, when we reach B, this is a back edge. From the top of the vertex B, we have an edge from B to A, and here A has been visited. So this BA back edge denotes that there is a cycle A, H, E, D, B, A in the graph. So let's continue with topological sorting. So what is topological sorting? So let's see. It is only in directed graphs. So yeah, and it is basically an ordering of the vertices in the graph, but it has a certain property that for every directed edge A, B, ordering has A before B. So in that ordering, for every edge AB, A will appear before B in the ordering. Okay. What is the algorithm? How do we implement it? So we'll use DFS with some modification. Uh, so perform DFS with modification. Print the vertex after running DFS on all its neighbors. So in the algorithm, in the pseudocode we had seen, we called for all neighbors x of A, perform DFS, we'll just add a line at the end of that, print vertex A, and then it will print when the DFS completes. We'll have a list of mm, nodes, and we'll just basically reverse the list. That will be our topological sorting. How does this algorithm works? So for every here we have a certain property that for every directed edge AB, ordering has A before B. So when we have called all DFS on all the neighbors of A, so now we don't have uh, any edge from A to B left. So when we print the vertex A, all the vertex that are neighbors of that A have been already been printed. So uh, A will appear before B in that ordering. Let's see it by an example. Uh, so here is a basic precedence graph for courses at IIT Delhi. So uh, as you can see, you can't just take any course. You have to have there are some prerequisites for certain courses. So this is a graph to denote that precedence. As you can see, it's called 100. Doesn't has any precedence, but call 106 you have to have completed call 100. For COP290 you need to have completed call 106, and various others prerequisites for different courses. So uh, we have to print the topological sorting, the how we can take all these courses without uh, with proper order, so that we don't violate any prerequisites condition for any courses. So we'll perform DFS on that and print the vertex and then reverse the list. So we'll get this topological ordering, which is call 100, then you do call 106, then you do call 216, and so on. So you can use this algorithm to make a schedule for your uh, the courses you want to do at here at IIT Delhi. Um, and with this, we'll conclude this topic. And thank you.